Coach Dexter, does
Yes.
football pay?
Uh, it depends on what pays.
Like, can you live off football alone? Like, if somebody wanted to be a football player, because I feel like most people don't want to pursue football as a profession, especially in Africa, because they feel like, how are they going to sustain? How are they going to pay their rent? How are they going to take care of the family? So, in as much as they are doing football as a hobby, they have to find another source of income. So, does football pay, according to you?
Okay, I feel like I said before, there's not there's not enough that has been done to make sure that this sport can really meet its end of the bargain in terms of employment, for example. There's a lot of footballers out here who want opportunities inside the country, for example. There are not enough football clubs to sustain them. You have to probably go to the top league here to be able to have a contract, for example. And even the teams that are still in the top leagues are struggling financially. I mean, it's crazy, but fact remains that we still have players in this country who earn over 100,000 shillings per month. Whether that is enough, I cannot tell because that is very personal. It's a lifestyle issue. 100,000 shillings could be 10,000 to somebody else. 100,000 shillings could be a million to another person. Just depends on really your lifestyle and what your focus is, what your focus is on. But I feel like there is a small percentage that can actually survive and survive off football. But if you have to be honest, I think life is not really the economy is not really doing well. So sometimes I feel like we are encouraged to find something extra, and finding something extra is not a bad thing. Of course, it would have been better if you can only focus on the game, but the circumstances that's possibly you have warrant you to have another side hustle on the side. You have a shop there, and you've invested in a business of your own, so it's not a bad thing, because at the end of the day, if you can serve two masters and prepare for the future is that maybe you won't play football for a very long time. It's probably a window of 15 to 20 years. And so after that, you'd probably go into business or something else. So if you're going to have a side business from the time that you're playing, because of the circumstances that have been provided for you, and you have to retire off football and then go into that business of yours, then it's sort of you have an advantage. So I cannot entirely answer that question, because of course I would have loved football to pay 1,000,000 shillings per month
In Africa?
in Africa. Of course, yeah. Of course, in Africa, there are people who are paid so well. By the way, there are top clubs like for example, Al Ahly. Yanga here in Tanzania pays so well. The Simbas of this world. Of course, in terms of resource mobilization, they are at a better place than maybe the Gor Mahias of this country and the FC Leopards of this country. So, if you manage, for example, a Kenyan player manages to move from here to Al Ahly, definitely they'll have more disposable income, and they at that level can decide not to focus on something else. They can decide to invest without like sort of having something like a business that they need to run and all that. They can focus on the game and have some investment, whether it's a money market fund or something, I don't know. But in the Kenyan context, I feel like we are not yet there. We are not yet there, because if you would want to, if I just pick a wild number, if I were to just focus from morning all the way, like 30 days in a month on the game, without doing any other thing, I'll probably want 1,000,000 shillings a month. Which club in this country can give you 1,000,000 shillings in a month?
Yes.
Impossible. Yeah.
So other countries in Africa
Yeah.
pay well.
Yeah,
They pay their players well.
They pay well. The football clubs in this country where players come in, and the kind of cars that they're driving, the Sundowns, Mamelodi Sundowns in South Africa, the parking lot is full of really nice cars, and yeah, it just shows. It does. It's only that how many of them? It's probably a handful. and it shouldn't be like that. When you compare that with Europe, a third division team, fourth division team, players are driving Mercedes Benzes. They're parking really, they're living in really nice apartments, and that is just a third or fourth division team. Here, a player in the second division, some of them play with they don't have. Some of them have contracts that they're not paid like continuously. Yeah, so it just honestly depends on which country, for example.
So
you
why is Kenya not paying football players well? Do you think it's because the Kenyans don't support the game, or how football is monetized here in Kenya is not that profitable, such that football players would be paid well? Or why do you think, like you mentioned, football players in Simba, in Tanzania, they're paid better? Like, why do you think football players in Kenya are not paid well? It's not a good paying sport.
Honestly, I just feel like it's a matter of resource mobilization, and there are people who have invested in the game in Tanzania, because it starts from an investment point of view. There are people who have decided that we are going to go into this thing as a business. We are going to monetize this sport here in this country, and we will sort of risk this. We'll risk for this. You see, for the love of the game, we'll risk, because it's a matter of investment. I feel like, one, people are afraid of investing in the game in this country. I don't know if we love the game that much. If you compare, for example, the love of the game in TZ and the love of the game in this country, I feel like we do not love our local game that much. We love international football more than we love the local football. And that is not entirely to blame on the fans as well, because the football is not we have not organized our game to a point where Ivy would feel like, I need to go and watch the game over the weekend. We've not marketed the game that much. We've not brought in the resources in the game. We've not invested in the game. The investors who are supposed to invest in the game don't feel like there could be a return in the game. So it's a mixture of a lot of things. It's a big bubble of so many factors that make this sport very small in this country. And you feel, for example, even the role of government in sports is never serious in this country. I mean that sometimes the environment needs to be created by government. If you're intentional with making football grow in this country as a government and providing employment, I feel like there are a few billions that you can take towards that sport, and give incentives, for example, to these clubs, and give incentives to investors, because themselves, the people in government can actually invest in this game, only if they decide to make sure that they can make this sport profitable. If they agree that this is something that can help this country, that can contribute to the GDP of this country. But that is not a focus of so many successive governments in Kenya. And that has sort of taken away what I feel would give the investor confidence. And a lot of people would join government in that regard. A lot of private investors would join government in that regard, and that is how we could slowly monetize this game, and bring back the funds into this game. And because where the funds are is where these huge companies would come in, and slowly we start seeing footballers being paid well. We start to see a lot of other football clubs coming up and cropping up, and that is how you grow the game in the country.
So football needs to be viewed as a business.
It needs to be viewed as a business, honestly. It cannot be a hobby. Hobby is paid. I mean, people need to now start focusing on this as something that can actually be viable in terms of business.